Hello, Internet. It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Umbrella Academy. Season 1, episodes 5 and 6. The appropriately entitled number 5.
Yes.
Since it's episode 5. And it deals with number 5. And the episode entitled The Day That Wasn't, which is also appropriately titled. So this is how we begin episode 5 with number 5, post-apocalypse, and we see his life, what it was like after the apocalypse as he turns into an old man before getting a job offer. And then we end with number 5, returning from the commission with new information. We gotta bump off Harold Jenkins to save the world. And thus resetting the day that wasn't. So that we saw basically, in some ways, episode 6 is a complete waste of time. No, it was interesting to watch, but the events of episode 6 get washed away when 5 jumps back and kind of screws up that timeline.
Yes.
Okay, and that's where we are. That's what we're talking about anyway today. Okay, so. First thing we see, I really enjoyed episode 5. I think that was maybe my favorite one so far.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I like the character 5. Who knew that time travel was something I'd appreciate? But
that old coot that you really liked him?
Yeah.
Went around killing people? You like that?
I liked just the backstory of, I don't know, I liked it.
Okay.
So, first of all, seeing him he's almost like Tom Hanks in Castaway, right? You know, with his volleyball that he talks to all the time. So in this case, 5.
Except I don't remember.
Has a mannequin on a wagon.
Tom Hanks having when he continued his relationship after he left the island.
Well, because he lost it. I don't know. Maybe he might have. If Wilson hadn't floated away, he might have been like, "Wilson, I love you, Wilson. No one else is important to me." So 5 has. Dolores, I believe is her name.
Yes.
On the wagon behind him as he gets old and old. I mean, decades go by and he's just walking across a barren landscape. And he's the only guy around. So this apocalypse is pretty thorough.
Sure.
It's not a snap.
No.
It's a everyone gone thing. And so we see him, I mean, he's a crazy old loner. I mean, he's almost a little too well adjusted when he comes back, I think. But so be it. Like that guy
he did have some time being an assassin.
Good point.
So
post being crazy loner, he got to get a haircut and just go kill people for for fun and profit. So he basically meets up with this very powerful individual called the Handler, who's pretty mysterious. Still not exactly sure of. Anyway, we'll talk more about the Handler later. But anyway, the Handler shows up and says, "Hey, we the Commission are a group that tries to make sure that the timeline happens the way it should, and we've been watching you.
Yeah.
And we think your time hopping abilities could be useful." Oh, really? Yeah, I guess they could. We have boxes that we give other people, but for you, we could save a box. So she makes him an offer. Hey, if you basically kill the right people for us for 5 years, thus preserving this timeline, we will then let you take the time period of your choice, and you can retire. Given his options, I guess I would have chosen that too.
Yes.
I can just die alone here with my mannequin, or maybe have a chance for a life. So he takes the alternative of, I'll be your time hopping assassin for you.
Yeah. See, and one of the things that I'm curious about is, if they express exactly what his limits are, I feel like I missed it.
They have not. She does mention at one point, I think in episode 6, when he's at the commission and he's kind of hopping around trying to avoid her shots. She says, you have limits.
Yes.
We'll find them or whatever. Anyway,
yes, because clearly, once he was jumping around, and got stuck in the future, he's able. It takes him years, and he's still not able to
do the
travel.
calculations. Maybe they give him a box. I don't know to use, but then they kind of defeats the purpose of why he would even be useful.
Right. So so I'm just
because he can move through space as
well.
But
Curious thing to me because it's like I feel like I might. Well, I guess if I was alone and talking to a mannequin all that time, I might not really have too many questions other than you'll save me. I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. Because you see that he's doing those equations even as a crazy old man.
Yes, that's true.
He's trying to figure it out, and for whatever reason, he can't just blink and do it. So we see, but you're right. It's so ambiguous. It's like, wait, can he hide? He can, but he can't. But what? Okay. Yeah. And in some ways, if I was at the end of time, more or less, I mean, he's not at the end, but if I'm in the apocalypse and I'm a dying old man with a mannequin, I probably take the risk of just like, I'll just hop somewhere. Like, maybe I'll end up in a tree.
And
but
the thing
okay,
that
fine.
occurred to me, like, at least say, like, okay, you can't just help me out do this. I mean, it's like, I have to do what you want. And I guess so. It's like, I guess it's implicit. Like, I'm only making this offer to you because I want you to do this. I don't care about you otherwise, I guess is just part of it.
Yeah. So we see that he is responsible for, it looks like the Hindenburg disaster, I think killing Stalin, maybe Archduke Franz Ferdinand as well. So that would be like a World War I thing. Anyway, he kills some famous folks and causes famous disasters. But he's now called upon to bump off JFK. And we see him getting ready, and it's like momentarily about to happen, and he decides instead, I guess he's either reached the level where he's figured out the computations, he's had enough time, and so he's figured out the computations, and he's like, I ain't doing this anymore. I get a moment of conscience, and so he then jumps, and that's where we see him enter the storyline. He jumps back to the funeral of his dad. So we also find out that Hazel and Cha-Cha work also for the commission.
Yes.
So we suspected they might be colleagues in some way. This is how they're colleagues. They're communal assassins. And it seems like Five has a rep, probably justifiably, because he can zip around through time and space.
Right.
And so he's kind of the wonder boy of the Assassin's Guild.
I guess they have their little suitcase thing, and they're very particular about where they put it and how they use it. But he can just at will for
as
a
far
while
as we
anyway.
know, and we don't. Yeah, maybe it's like maybe he can do jumps through time that aren't great. Like, if I only jump a week, it's not so bad. But then you just keep doing it. Then just keep jumping back in time. I don't know. You're right. Why does he need these amazing computations to jump in time when it seems like? Anyway, so be it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hazel and Cha-Cha are part of the commission as well. I think we even get the hint, maybe they were the ones that killed off JFK, because when we see them shooting all these gun battles they've had, when the police pick up the bullets, they keep saying, these are from 1963, which, that's the JFK assassination. So maybe that they were just coming from there to track down. I don't know. Anyway. So we've got the issue of Klaus took the time travel box.
Yes.
That Hazel and Cha-Cha had hidden in the vent. And so he suddenly reappears. He has been in Vietnam for 10 months, basically fighting as a soldier.
Yeah.
And he fell in love over there with a fellow soldier named Dave. Dave was killed, and did we see Klaus actually come back? I don't know that. I don't know that we saw the scene where he decides finally, like, maybe I should open this box again. I just feel like if he'd had the choice, like, why didn't he just open that box as soon as he was back in Vietnam? You're like, I'm about to go fight someone. Beep, beep.
All right. Well, okay. So we in episode 4 we saw him disappear.
Yeah.
In episode 5 we saw him return.
Correct.
And destroy the box.
Correct.
It wasn't until episode 6 that we see what happened in the interim. Although
correct.
He gets into a fight in 5 about how he feels about it or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I'm adding this.
I understand.
Info
I'm just
from
saying.
6, but yeah. So what do we? I mean, I get the idea that perhaps there was a there was a point in time when he's back in Vietnam where he's so in love with Dave that he's like, hey, I don't care if we're fighting. I'll just stay here anyway because I'm with someone I love.
Yeah, and perhaps not until Dave dies that he's like, okay, now I'll go back.
Yeah. But it seems like there might have been right away. I would have thought, all right, I'm in a bad place in time. I think I'll just.
And I guess too, I guess he doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
he wouldn't have any reason to know, right?
Well, right. No, he wouldn't know, right. Well, first he thought it was money, and then he realizes, obviously he has to realize that it takes him back in time, right? And then he apparently doesn't use it at all until after Dave dies. And I guess he doesn't think to go back a day and save Dave's life.
It's true. He doesn't have to stay dead if you have a time travel box. Okay.
But if he didn't know how to use it,
right.
then I guess that could be a reason why he doesn't do that.
Also, very tough to carry that thing around in the middle of a war, I would think, but he found a way.
Yeah.
So what we do is we do have, and as much as we've been kind of hard on Klaus because he's annoying.
Yes, he is annoying.
We do see a different Klaus.
Yeah, we do.
For these two episodes.
Kind of annoying.
A different kind of annoying Klaus. He's not blah, 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 annoying. He's depressed annoying.
Yes.
He's PTSD depressed at this point. And so that's Klaus. He teams up with Diego. Diego is still out for revenge.
Yes.
For the death of his girlfriend.
Yes.
At the hands of Hazel and Cha-Cha. So they find a way to track Hazel and Cha-Cha. But in doing so, they're a little too obvious. And so Hazel and Cha-Cha are like, oh, there they are. Those people are trying to track us. Kill them.
It doesn't seem likely that Diego will ever realize the extent that Klaus could have saved his girlfriend.
I kept waiting for it. Like, oh, they're together and they're talking about it and they're dead. And Klaus is going to say something like, yeah, I was there and then I just bailed. But he doesn't.
Nope, doesn't say
Whatever.
that. Nope.
I think you're right. I think maybe they skirted past that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, well, what can you do? It's Klaus.
It's Klaus. That's Klaus. That's Klaus.
Why?
That's Klaus.
Why, no one ever says, why do we let this guy live? What do we get out of him talking to the dead people?
So we lead up to a point then where also Cha-Cha has gotten an order to bump off Hazel. What we learn later is that, I guess that's 5, right?
Do we learn about who sends it in 5? No.
We don't learn it in 5, but I mean, it's number 5 is sending those messages.
Correct.
But even that message is 5, because he joins the commission later, but he probably sends something back in time.
Yes. Because
they're out of time. So what we find out is that number 5 has sent dual kill your buddy requests to orders to Hazel and Cha-Cha. And so they have to deal with. They don't actually end up killing each other, as far as we know, by the end of episode 6. But they're both dealing with that information in different ways. We've got a thing that looks like it's right out of Miller's Crossing. It's and you can tell. That's the thing. You can tell Hazel knows. Oh, we're out. You think the box is out here in the woods? He knows. Like in that moment.
Does he know?
I think he's like.
Yeah, I'm not.
Also, he's walking like this, like he almost has a gun.
Yeah, I know, hand. Right? Yeah, that's. For me, I was curious. I wondered, but I wasn't sure though. I wasn't sure if he knew.
Okay, I got the sense that he was like, all right, we're gonna
I can see how you would think that.
But
because he didn't receive his message until later, right?
As far as we know, right.
Right. Or maybe he was just like, okay, if you're gonna take me out. I don't know. Maybe he's waiting until the point where she actually was going to take him out. I think
that's what I got the idea.
So he's like,
ready.
We can, but do we have to do this? And rather than be explicit about, talking about that, it's really about, do you want to keep doing this?
Give her a chance to prove herself, that she wasn't going to try to bump him off, and she does. In that moment, she does not decide to bump him off.
But here's the thing, right? Let's say that I'm like saying, okay, I think you're going to bump me off.
Okay.
And
I wouldn't keep my back turned to you for one thing.
Right. But it's like, okay, maybe I can convince you not to bump me off, and maybe we should quit. right?
Right.
So,
which he successfully does later.
right, I'm just saying, then you receive a note saying, why don't you kill her?
Yeah, you would think you've already
committed to the idea that let's stop
staying.
doing it. But it's like, oh, is that all? Then I'll kill her.
Now, okay, we'll add this, since we're talking this storyline, we'll mention this as how it goes into episode 6. There comes a time when Hazel convinces Cha-Cha, in every assassin's life, Hazel convinces Cha-Cha, you know what? Why are we doing all this running around killing? Let's just stay in this timeline. Let's try to save it. I think he insinuates they're not just going to let the apocalypse happen and die.
Right.
We'll see if we can try to
stop the apocalypse.
And let's call it. Let's jump off of the commission train that is this thing. And Cha-Cha agrees, and they're like, okay, great. We're no longer working for the commission, kind of, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Until Cha-Cha sees Hazel talking to the waitress. I think her name is Agnes, from the little donut diner or whatever.
It does seem like, as a side, it doesn't seem like they're the same age, which is fine, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a time traveler, so maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's why he feels so like. Much. Yeah, maybe that's why.
He's been around for a little while. He's like, I'm an old soul.
Yeah.
But so Cha-Cha sees him, and it's not like he's doing anything particularly nefarious.
No.
He's just having a nice conversation with women. Obviously, they are interested in each other. Agnes and Hazel.
Yes.
Cha-Cha sees this and is like, oh, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And then she tries to shoot him in the shower.
Yeah.
That's when Hazel then knocks her out.
Yeah.
So it's until that moment, what I'm thinking is Hazel gets the message. If you bump off Cha-Cha, everything's fine. He doesn't do anything about it, but somehow he thinks Cha-Cha's still maybe considering bumping him off, so he waits. He waits till she makes this move of like, oh, you weren't going to do this anyway, you jerk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's a little, I don't understand Cha-Cha's motivation, though.
Me neither.
Is she interested in Hazel?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Is she?
Like, I don't get that. That vibe does not come across. They come across as kind of minion level co-workers that are existing. And not like, and I'm also interested. I want to be a family. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why Cha-Cha gets so angry at the thought that Hazel might be finding happiness with a waitress in this place that they've decided to call their own.
Yeah.
Anyway, their dynamic is complicated. I do like the fact that this reminds me very much of one of my favorite plays. It's a Harold Pinter play called The Dumb Waiter.
Dumbass Waiter.
It's called The Dumbass Waiter. It's a really, really cool play, by the way. But in any case, it involves two assassins that are kind of that minion level co-worker, and it's a dark comedy thing, and they're talking and just passing the time. And there's this dumb waiter from a restaurant that keeps sending messages to them, and we find out that the messages may in fact be directives, and it pits the two of them against each other. And any case, so there's a dark comic feel, but it's also, at the end of the day, they're out there trying to kill people, and they're getting these messages from, like, not necessarily a tube, but it's kind of the same idea. So if that is what they are borrowing from, kudos. You're steal from the best. No, it's not stealing. It's just, it's a cool homage to, I think, Harold Pinter's The Dumb Waiter. The Dumbass Waiter. We eventually get near the end of episode 5 to an exchange. We've got Luther and number 5 have the fake case. Don't look too carefully at the case. They are offering to Hazel and Cha-Cha in exchange for number 5 to be able to talk to the commission. So they work that out. They're waiting for the commission to show up, and while they're waiting, suddenly ice cream truck, who we saw Diego and Klaus steal earlier, shows up in the middle of the country. Obviously they put a tracker on Hazel's car, so they're coming in. It's the Ride of the Valkyries in ice cream truck form. It's kind of funny. And so all hell breaks loose. There's a big fight going on. In the middle of it all, it gets frozen. and the handler shows up. She's obviously, as you put it, she's either really powerful or she has devices that are powerful, but either way, she's powerful.
Yeah. And if she's coming from another time, perhaps that's part of it. Like, okay, I'm going to go to a different time. Could you freeze it when I get there?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we do know that the commission, one of their interests is to make sure that this apocalypse, which is happening in a couple of days, happens.
Yeah.
So obviously that would mean the end of them if they're connected to time. So it sounds like this group exists outside of linear time, and they're just overwatching, making sure things happen in a, as they
That's
supposedly
a possibility.
should.
Maybe they're just in a earlier or post time. It could be much even further than even Klaus. Number 5 had went. Maybe it was even further in the future, and they're like, we need that stuff to happen in order
for our society to be in shape. Okay, so basically a deal is struck. 5 agrees, hey, you saved my friends, my family, and try to avoid the apocalypse. Did he make the deal try to avoid the apocalypse?
No, because
he didn't. They're like, no.
No, forget that.
Forget that.
Just save his family.
Yeah, save his family, and I'll come work for you again. You'll get a promotion. You'll get a new body. They're trying to lure him back, which it's a little weird that they'd be doing that. I mean, I guess because he's just so powerful, but he's already betrayed them. When he didn't kill JFK, and then he disappeared, and then he's been on the run. They're being awfully nice, I guess. Oh, you screwed us over?
Yes.
Here, how about a promotion?
Yes.
It just seems a little. You wonder
perhaps
why
ill-advised. I mean, I guess they thought they either won,
or they have an ulterior motive.
Right. That's possible, but I mean, it's possible they're so confident that he won't be able to avert what's happening.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, we'd like to get you, and we'd rather you not die.
Yeah.
So
we'll distract you long enough so the apocalypse can happen, and then we've got you, and that time has happened the way we want it to. So he makes that agreement. One of the things that's interesting, we do see, as much as I'm always kind of like wary of time travel, I do like this aspect that we see in this episode in particular, that time travel really has consequences.
Yes.
The number 5 is this insane loner guy who's really got he is not well adjusted. He spent all that time walking around with a wagon. And Klaus, having gone in a blink of an eye, he spent 10 months in hell and watched his love die in his arms, and so the time travel has not been kind.
No,
it's not just like I had this power.
That's right. No.
It's fun.
Nope.
It's not fun. One of the things I did that was kind of fun when 5 he's making all the computations for who we should kill in order to stop the apocalypse.
Yes.
And that's a good scene, actually. Luther comes in, and they had that talk of look, these people, if we bump them off, we have a good chance of stopping the apocalypse. And it's like, what? We're not just going to go kill a gardener. It's like, what do you mean? We're saving people. It was a really frank. But one of the names on there, I just happened to see this, is actually the art director for the show.
Oh.
Alex Cameron, one of 4 people. If you kill him, you'll stop the apocalypse. Art director for Umbrella Academy.
That's really good. Oh, maybe you want to finish that one part? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
bam!
So,
now we can kill him.
Now we can kill him. So the next and meanwhile, Vanya is hanging out with creepy guy Leonard, and you're like, don't fall into this trap. And he's evil. We see it by the end of that episode because they kind of consummate their relationship. Did she win the chair in episode 5? Okay, so episode 5, she competes for first chair and uses her power because, she doesn't consciously use her power, but she's not taking her pills, so she's not restrained, and so she's really amazing at playing the violin. And they're having sex, and we see up in the attic where Allison almost got to.
Yeah.
Allison breaks in to his house and looks around for a while, but then has to leave before she can go in the attic. The attic, we see the former first chair. Yes. As soon as it was like, she just didn't show up one day. I was like, okay. I don't think I can guess what happened to first chair. Anyway, And also we see the Reginald Hargreaves journal is up there, and it's that was last time we saw it was in the trash with Klaus. Klaus had stolen it. I was like, I don't need that. So this guy Leonard took it. It's obviously going to have notes about Vanya, which we see in episode 6. Which is interesting that it ends up underneath at the end of episode 6, it's underneath the couch or something. It's not in the attic anymore, which makes me think either, maybe he just went and got it and was looking at it and was like, or he's like, maybe I'll just put it. I don't know why he would want to key her off, but so it's the day that wasn't is episode 6, and we see at the start of the day we have actually Vanya brings Leonard, creepy Leonard, to the house to meet the Umbrella Academy. He obviously knows about them. It's like, the Umbrella Academy, yeah, you guys are great. And we see him
he tries to play off how much he knows.
Yeah, but he creepily knows more than he's saying. Yeah. And it's like, we know it. And we're like, wake up, you. He steals one of the, I forgot which one did he steal 6? That might make sense. He steals one of the statues.
Oh, yeah.
Of the hair. He's like, whoop, and for whatever reason, he'd make a voodoo doll. I don't know. So they're having a meeting to decide how to stop the apocalypse. Finally, 5 has decided to clue them in on it. Yes. That was one of the points I had in an earlier, I think last week's recap. I was like, why isn't he cluing them in? Your point was, he thinks he's better than they are. And it's like, who knew? But anyway, he lets them know, and now they're like, oh crap, we got 3 days to stop the apocalypse. And through the course of this day, they, for different reasons, all kind of decide not to do it. Like to just kind of accept that the apocalypse is coming, because they find out that they died trying to stop it, and they're not sure exactly what's different. 5 has been spending this time, because he agreed to help the commission. We see this very kind of it's a fun little satirical look at office life, but through assassins.
Yes.
And so we see like a guy trying to make sure the Lusitania is sunk and that kind of stuff. And so he's off. He's not with the group. He's off in doing office work. And so we see Luther and Allison they come together, have their first kiss.
That we've seen.
I think I got the feeling it was the first kiss ever, because they were about to have their big moment when Reginald Hargreaves showed up and was like, "What are you doing? Yeah. You were only supposed to have fun from noon to 12:30 on Saturdays."
It's terrible.
And then he never even cleaned up the area. He just left it with the record player and everything. So they have a cool little dance montage, or not montage, a little dance, but it breaks into he's suddenly, not a freak.
Yeah, that is sudden.
And so it's in their minds in a way, but in their minds they're good dancers. They probably suck at dancing.
Yeah.
And she being Allison, is going to go back, flying away to go see her kid, basically be with her kid at the end of times. And she invites Luther to do the same. And in that moment, because up until then he's been like, we have to try to stop the apocalypse, and that's his mode is protector. We see that many, many times. He's getting people to get behind me. Right. I'll do the thing. So he's like, I need to protect the world. And in this moment, he's finally accepts to say like, okay, you're right. I'm just fine. You know what? I'm going to go with you, and we're going to be with your kid.
And we skipped over part of his trajectory, right?
His
realization in the previous episode that the mission on the moon that he was partaking of was apparently completely pointless.
Yes. As far as we know, he was sending these reports in sealed bags back to Earth, and Pogo finally is like, you find them on the floorboards. And he's like, whoop! And they're unopened. Yeah. So, and Pogo reveals to him, yes, after your accident or after the change in you, your dad wanted to give you a purpose, and so that was his way of doing it, to isolate you on the moon for 4 years. Just it makes it more seem like you just wanted him out of his hair almost, but whatever, you know. And so so you've got, much like 5 was alone in the future for years and years and years, we had this situation where just because of his association with the Umbrella Academy, this guy ends up on the moon pointlessly for 4 years.
Right.
As you say, maybe it's not pointless, but it seems like it.
Right, but I think that was part of his coming to terms with the fact that he can't do anything. Because first he thought, oh, let's look at this stuff that from the moon, because maybe that has to do with this big
good
problem,
point.
right?
Yeah. I think his point was, well, Dad wouldn't have had me be up there if it wasn't important. So he probably knew that the apocalypse was coming and was having me do these tests that will help us determine how to stop the apocalypse. Yeah. Oh, he never looked at any of them. Okay. So it was a huge moment for him, and just what a come down. Yeah. I'm like, and I'm nothing. And I just wasted all of these years thinking one thing and being totally wrong about it. So that's their arc, which is kind of nice. They go off together, and they're gonna just have a day. They're gonna be on a plane for a while. Like, come on, the apocalypse is coming. Let's get them.
They don't have a Quinjet.
They don't have the Quinjet. They don't have a fire. Can't just zip them around apparently, because he's not there. Meanwhile, Klaus decides, again, he's not trying to save the world. What he wants to do is contact his dead love, Dave, before the apocalypse happens. So he asks Diego, tie me up. Don't let me take any drugs. When I don't take the drugs, I can talk to the dead, and I can then talk to my true love. He goes through a major withdrawal and is swearing at his brother, but eventually Dave shows up. And he's able to have this little moment of connection with the ghost of his true love. What is Diego doing other than looking out for Klaus? He wants to get revenge. He wants to get revenge before I want to kill Hazel and Cha-Cha before they die anyway in the apocalypse. But he's distracted by Klaus, I guess, in a way. Like, they have their little brother. Chatty moments. They get to a little heart to heart. Vanya, meanwhile, is still in the thralls of this Leonard guy. Yep. She does find out when she finds the book at the end. Oh, wait, why does he have my dad's journal that mentions that I have unlimited power and I should be controlled?
Now, you're about to express your great frustration and anger.
The anger's a little strong.
Frustration that she still doesn't know.
Yeah.
But we actually don't know that after reading that she still might have. Well, he's probably just cares about me. He's probably just really interested in me.
I think. Maybe in the next day to come, when we see this day play out again, maybe that same thing will happen. But I'm guessing it won't.
Maybe not.
Because all this day gets wiped away. So you're suggesting that maybe she saw the book and was like, oh, well, that hidden journal.
Yeah, bet.
Somehow he's got it under the couch.
But he was going to surprise me with it. He loves me so much.
Yeah, he comes in, surprise. I was just going to, it's your birthday, right?
Hey, I had that first chair stuff for you.
I hear you. If she's really enthralled with him, maybe he could find a way to manipulate his way out of it. But it seems pretty. I think the implication was she's now seen. Oh, this guy is keeping secrets.
Yes, presumably that's what's going to happen.
He knows a lot more about me than he lets on.
Yep.
And so I was like, finally, I'm like, oh God, finally, we don't have to be the ones who know more than she does. But then the day gets wiped, so she's back to not knowing who he is. She also does use her powers. She doesn't realize it, but she gets angry, and like all the light poles go, and we see like a very big use of power where she kind of, just not destroys a neighborhood, but damages an entire neighborhood because she's angry.
You wouldn't like her when she's angry.
You wouldn't like her when she's angry. Probably not. That's probably a thing. We also then see that, so meanwhile, 5 is up doing his thing. What 5 is attempting to do, first he sends messages for Hazel and Cha-Cha to kill each other so that they're distracted from trying to kill, Klaus or deal with his friends and his family. But he's also trying to find a solution to the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And so finally he gets the break. Now we get the idea that the handler knows what he's trying to do because she's always showing up whenever he's trying to be secretive. She's like, hey, you know what we do to secretive people? That's a bad thing. You wouldn't want to do that, obviously. Come have lunch in my office where I can see you. She's got all these little trinkets like Hitler's gun and these little blah, 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 which he then uses the trinket grenades to blow up the place. But he finds out that the Commission, in order to keep the apocalypse going, needs to save this guy, Harold Jenkins. And that's what he's been waiting for. He gets that message. He's like, now I can go back. So he blows up all the boxes, the time travel boxes, so the Commission has a tougher time getting to him. And he tries to blow up the handler. She seems pretty powerful.
Yeah, she does.
And he bamfs back in time one day to talk to his family.
Yeah, you see everything.
I think my guess is that Harold Jenkins is who we're going to find out is actually Leonard. I think Leonard is our gateway to the apocalypse. Whatever he's doing to Vanya, he's trying to make her be uncontrollable, Dark Phoenix-y, powery. And so I think, because if you killed off Harold Jenkins / Leonard, then he wouldn't be influencing Vanya, and Vanya wouldn't go nuts.
So then you're thinking a possibility is between now and the end, or at least now when this event occurs, the apocalypse event, he loses an eye and needs to get a new one.
I guess, right? I mean, we're not sure who the fake eye belongs to.
Right.
Could, as you mentioned, could belong to Vanya even, I guess.
Right. So then she would be the one losing an eye.
Right. It's somebody in the next, pretty soon, because you're not going to, day of the apocalypse, you're not going to be like, I need to go into the doctor and get my... So it's probably very soon someone loses an eye, and it's probably one of those two people. I guess it could be somebody like Hazel or Cha-Cha, maybe, if they're involved in they're trying to stop the apocalypse, but maybe they unwittingly are helping the wrong side or something, and that could be a thing. But yeah, somebody on the wrong side, probably amongst those four people, is going to lose an eye.
Now, if it was Cha-Cha or Hazel, then they could have received that eye at any time. They could have got it later on before the apocalypse.
I see what you're saying. So it wouldn't be a brand new eye.
Right.
It could be an older,
Yeah.
Good point. All right. So the odds are that it's either Leonard or Vanya loses the eye.
Right.
I don't know if they can tell if it's a name.
I mean, if it's not, I think it probably is the most likely. I mean, otherwise, why is, it'd be ironic, or at least certainly unexpected, but probably in true sense ironic, that during this apocalypse, he's pulling out the eye for some entirely unrelated reason. It's not related to the... It's like, well, I can't stop that, but I can pull your eye
out. The other person it could be, I don't think it's this person, but it would be the irony, speaking of irony, all right, would be Five himself, right? Because we don't see Five's body in that rubble.
We don't.
It would just be if he time traveled to that spot, and then whatever reason they were like, "You're the problem," and it was his eye. But I don't think that's anyway. I don't think he's the guy. I think he's our hero, who with bad past, trying to make amends, trying to save the earth.
I guess since we didn't see his body there,
that's what I'm saying.
It would be. I know. I'm just saying it.
Then the eye.
And then he I'll get your eye. Oh, no, I'm going. All you have is my eye.
Yeah.
I went someplace else. My calculations didn't include my eye anyway.
Yeah, right. That's it. Yeah. So only my body, not my eyeball. Right. He would have bamfed away. Well, yeah. Okay, but yeah, it seemed a little weird. Maybe the handler has fake eyes.
All the people watching who've seen it is like, what are you
talking about? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what other things do we see then? We've got the so the day resets, and all the things that were pretty, life-affirming things don't happen. Pogo talks to Mom Robot, who's back up. Diego is very surprised to see her.
Yes.
He's like, what? She makes eye contact with Pogo. He's like,
yes.
She doesn't say anything.
No, she doesn't.
What is it that she's hiding that Pogo wants her to hide?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I think it's possible that he is behind it, even though
He's behind the apocalypse?
No, behind the death of their father.
Okay.
Of the father.
So your thought is perhaps Pogo killed Reginald Hargreaves.
Yes.
Probably had reason to. Hell,
Yeah.
you made me a chimp
Yep. Right.
and a butler
That's right.
For all these years.
Yeah.
Could be. I think maybe there's... Yeah, I mean, that seems like the most likely thing at this point. I don't think any of the kids killed the dad.
Right.
Put it that way. And we get the idea that the story's telling us that the robot mom did not kill the dad.
Right.
So that leaves your list of suspects pretty small.
Yeah, it does.
At this point.
Although,
And I don't think he died of natural causes.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just like, oh, it was his time.
Right.
Like in a story like this, that's not the way this goes. So yeah, I think we've hit our highlights for episodes 5 and 6. If you've got some comments, I'm sure we glossed over a few things. Feel free to mention them in the comments. We will chat about them. Otherwise, we'll be back with episodes 7 and 8. And thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye now.